Everyone, Assalamualaikum. Dear participant, thank you for attending this meeting. We will get started on the meeting right away.
Thank you, Ms. Myra, our secretary. So today, we would like to talk about some of the new client who have asked us to access their internal control over sales and trade receivable system and make recommendation for improvement. Eucerini Syndrome Berhad, their firm, is a well-known dealer of international medical equipment and machinery. So, before we move any further, I want to ask all of you if we should accept or reject this new customer in order to access their internal control system.
Well, I think I agree to take this company as our client because I believe that this company will minimize their fraud and misstatement if we have a well-planned schedule.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We should accept these corporations, in my opinion, because of their solid financial positions. It's significant since the customer is a strong match for the auditing company in terms of honesty, reputations, and industry basis. However, we should examine and evaluate our client financial accounts in order to determine the risk of business failure. Significant uncertainty about a company capacity to continue in business raise audit risk since it's linked to a higher chance of dishonest financing reporting. If our client business fails, there are chance they won't be able to pay for our audit service. Following that, we inquire with various members of management about these issues. If I adopt various accounting principles or procedure, I believe I will suggest this chance to our future customer. It will be interesting for me to see if the prospective customer is willing to implement such rules or procedure.
Yes, I agree that we may approve Eucerini Syndrome Berhad since, in my perspective, the nature of this company's activity is very standard. They merely sell and acquire inventory like any other company.
Yes, we may accept this customer since their financial strength is still significant, as seen by the fact that despite declining profit sale, they were able to pay our services. So, given our senior auditor's recommendation to accept this firm, I want to ask Ms. Sofiea why she believes we need to accept this customer based on her previous auditing experience. Based on prior experience, we should examine this company capacity to avoid fraud and mispresentation, as well as manage and control their risk while designing an internal control system. So, in terms of internal control, we must consider the components of the internal control system as well as the management of an information technology environment. So, accepting this customer will not be an issue for me because the firm can be still address their loss in sale and earning with many remedies and well-planned work schedule. Ms. Senior Auditor, thank you for your explanation. Thus, based on the responses from all of you, I want to make the decision to accept this client request to access their internal control system. Next, as a person who is quite knowledgeable in this area, I'd like to ask our junior auditor, what do you think we should think about and learn about this client industry in order to execute our audit work?
As a result, this corporation imports medical equipment and machinery for this industry, and we need to know how their employees or employees record transactions for the equipment that this firm imports. Then, In order to import their equipment, we need to know about their target market. The organization must furnish us with the entire documents or evidence so that we may have a better knowledge of their business. So, based on that information, we will be able to determine whether or not this organization will be able to meet its objective.
Thank you, Ms. Junior Auditor. We've decided to take this customer, and thanks to our junior auditor's explanation, we have a better understanding of this client industry. The next topic is the engagement letter, which I want to question our secretary about. How did you issue the engagement letter?
As a secretary, I believe I would draft our engagement letter for our customer. It is significant since it establishes the fee structure as well as the firm and client responsibilities and obligation. Without it, both parties may find themselves in legal limbo. The reason we send it to our customer is that it assists us in reducing risk. This entails many insurers mandate the use of engagement letter to assist decrease professional liability insurance or E&O insurance premiums. Engagement letter must lower liability and risk of conducting business if insurance need them. As a result, having engagement letter template that our firm employs when onboarding with new customer is a good idea. They allow us to expand our profession while reducing our risk of being sued. Our identifications, scope of service, term of engagement, pricing structure, and duties are examples of items I want to mention in the engagement letter. In most engagement, for example, the client is accountable for specific tasks and must submit specific information or record. We need to be clear about what the client duties are and what information we require from them in order to complete the service. After that, I would talk about internal control document. Small organizations can get a competitive edge by implementing effective documentation procedure that result in a minimum of inefficient control. Using audit software, I will prepare and save information in hard copy or electronic format. Example of PDF documents that are needed for internal control are the organization QMS policy, descriptions of the QMS scope, a detailed explanation of QMS objective, and any document or records essential to the support of an individual organization QMS process, including standard operating procedure SOP. Next, permanent file. This contains historical data about the client that are of continuing relevant to the audit. Example of information, copies of or except from the MOA and AOA of the company, chart of accountant, copies of important contract, documentations of internal control, term of debenture or bond issues. In addition, current file, it includes information and data related specifically to the current year engagement. Example of information, copy of financial statement and auditor report, audit plan and audit program, copy of minutes of important committee meeting, working trial balance, adjusting and reclassification journal entries.
Thank you to our secretary, Ms. MOHD, for providing a true description of the engagement letter as well as the paperwork that we must evaluate for this customer. So, Mrs. FARAH, how about our client planning and strategy?
Why am I stating this? Because we want to provide our auditors a better timetable and minimize work pooling, which will make it possible for them to finish the assignment on time. With this well-planned audits, I am certain that our auditor will conduct an accurate audit for this organization. Although there is no guarantee that there would be no fraud or significant misstatement, they may make the best effort possibly to present their accounting record and limit the risk of fraud and material misstatement. From here, we can use a variety of auditing techniques such as substantive procedure are designed to produce evidence that an audit can use to support the assertion that an entity's financial record are complete, valid, and accurate. The next technique is the balance sheet approach, which is justified by the notion that a risk-based approach to auditing financial statement related to PAT and ACCA qualification paper is better. If the necessary management claim for all balance sheet accounts are checked and validated, the profit and loss amount presented from the accounting period will not be significantly misstated. Finally, there is a system-based audit technique. Auditor must evaluate the efficiency of an entity's internal control before directing substantive procedure, largely to areas where it is considered that system objective will not be reached.
Thank you for explaining the plans and approach, Ms. Vice President. So I'm hoping that we can all come up with a good strategy for reviewing this client's internal control so that we can do a good job on our audit. How is progress on reviewing this company's internal control, Ms. Vice President? What should we think about while setting up an internal control system?
Ms. Sofiea, thank you for your inquiry. Our progress with this firm is that we are concentrating on their internal control system. It may be described as the board and management activity to control risk and enhance the chance of achieving set objectives. More effective governance is advised in a more modern corporate governance 2017 to achieve aims. This technology is capable of managing risk and lowering the possibility of fraud. So in this system, there are a few components to consider, such as control environment, risk assessment, control action, information and communication, and monitoring. So that what we'll be looking at what we audit this firm, and I assume our senior and junior auditor are working on this as well. As a result, I'll forward this meeting to them.
There are 4 parts of the questionnaire. 3 of the 5 questions will be reviewed by HANIS and myself. As can be seen in the presentation, the first component in control environment, this will be asked the client 5 questions concerning environment control. The risk assessment is the next component and will be also asked in the client 5 questions. So I'll give Ms. HANIS another 2 components.
Yes, I have 2 additional components. The third is control activities and the fourth is monetary.
Thank you to our Vice President, Ms. Farah, as well as Senior and Junior Auditor, Ms. Sofiea and Ms. HANIS, for providing an update on the status of the primary aspect of our audit, the internal control system. We have now reached at the end of our talk for today. So what was the conclusion of the audit work for this client's internal control system?
Thank you for reaching out to me, Ms. Chairman. We audited this customer, which was a unique experience for a couple of our employees because we are working with the medic firm industry. As a result, we examine their internal control system and create a flowchart of their internal control system. So I'll continue this meeting by passing it to our auditor to discuss the flowchart in further depth.
The company flowchart is depicted in the slide presentation. A basic email is sent to all customers who place purchases for medical equipment. The sales representative will produce 3 copies of the sale order for the sales department. The first copy will be received by billing department. The accounting department receive the second and third copies of the sale order will be received by warehouse. I'll pass on the rest of the explanation to HANIS.
Thank you for providing me with this chance. As a result, a duplicate of the sales order will be delivered to the billing department for processing. The cashier in the billing department creates 3 copies of the sales invoice based on the previous sales order. Original sales invoice copies will be sent to the accounting department. Finally, the sales invoice will be submitted in the accounting department by date along with the sales summary.
Thank you to our senior and junior auditor for explaining the findings of the client's internal control system evaluation.
So I believe that concludes our conversation for today. Is there anyone else who has questions? If there are no other questions, we thank you everyone for coming to our meeting. The date of the next meeting will be announced later.
Thank you for taking your time to attend this meeting and for your cooperation. I am going to call the meeting to a halt until the next time we met. The meeting was adjourned.